Make sure that we got a good mic check going on right now.
Gentlemen.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2.
Gentlemen, we are going to.
All right, guys. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What is going on?
All right, guys. Mic check 1 2 1 2.
Finally, the mic decides that it wants to start working. Okay. All right. Good. We got the mic going. Okay. So let's edit this right now. Add some descriptions. Okay. Here we go. We are almost there, guys. Hold on just a second here. Okay. All right. We will start in the 3-minute mark. Okay. All right, here we go. We got the thumbnail going. We are on right now in just about approximately 30 seconds from now. Okay, so let's get this party started in exactly 10 seconds from now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so here we are, the beginning of the stream. Like and subscribe as we discuss why the UFC has ended its double champion status while making champion fighters vacate their belts before moving up to challenge for another weight class title. Also, the other thing we're going to talk about here is 9 days later, Roger Jackson, after allegedly attacking Stu Smith, there's still no arrest, but the LAPD did raids on Crip members in Los Angeles. Okay. So that has to tell you something, right? And it wasn't exactly meditated murder that these guys committed. I'm talking about the LAPD. I'm sorry, the Crips that the LAPD is going after. They were flocking houses. And for those of you that don't understand what flocking houses means, it literally means robbing a house, right? So I want you to put in perspective. The LAPD was quick to go after guys like the Rolling 30 Crips, the 55th Street Crips in LA, who were robbing about 93 houses across Los Angeles, right? So that's one priority that they have going on. The other priority is Roger Jackson, a guy who beat up somebody at a wrestling show. Is that really a priority for the LAPD right now? And I think the answer is obviously not. It is not a priority for the LAPD right now to go after Roger Jackson because it has been 9 days. Now, as far as Myron Gaines, okay, because I watch his show a lot. I think that he is a very informative podcaster. especially
Myron Gaines.
especially
Okay.
being a former Homeland Security agent. I think that helps a lot. By the way, guys, if you're tapping in right now, stay tuned because I will be on camera in just a second. But first, I have to make my morning coffee so that I can get on you guys' level. You know what I mean? Whatever you guys are doing around the world right now, tap in. If you are in the morning time like I am in the West Coast, tap in. If you are in the evening time in the UK, tap in. Everybody around the world, man, tap in because we have some interesting topics that we're going to talk about. The other topic that we're going to talk about is why the double championship is no longer a viable option for many fighters that are going to become champions. And we're going to explain that, okay? Because there is a Sports Illustrated article that talks about this. Okay, why is it that they are doing this? Is it because they don't want fighters to be as powerful as Conor McGregor was? Now imagine the type of power that the type of power that Conor McGregor got when he became double champion. It opened doors for him. In particular, the one door that it had opened for Conor McGregor was the Floyd Mayweather boxing match. Okay, while he was a world champion and while Floyd Mayweather was literally just 1 year removed from being a world champion and retired as an undefeated legend, right? Going in there to pick up his 50th victory against an MMA fighter who was a double champion at the time. Now, it made Conor McGregor a lucrative amount of money. Not only did it make him a lucrative amount of money, it gave him a certain level of influence. It also gave him a certain level of power and leverage, in which the UFC has decided, you know what, no more. We will not be taken advantage of in this particular matter again. We will not let the fighters be bigger than the program. Okay? Now, I know that the other part of this live stream is us talking about the Crips in LA getting raided. And the reason why I wanted to emphasize that, obviously, aside from the fact that it's not only a mixed martial arts channel, it's also a California gang channel, is that, well, try and understand this, right? They arrested the Crips, but not the so-called attempted unaliver in Roger Jackson. Now, why is that? Because you got to ask yourself, was this crime even severe enough for the LAPD to pay attention to? And that right there is the big question as to why 9 days later, Roger Jackson has yet to be picked up. Okay, so we're going to jump around in all of these subjects, not in any particular order, because I have ADHD and I'm going to plan on using my ADHD to its fullest extent by talking about a wide range of different subjects that may interest people in some kind of connection to each other, right? So going back to the double championship, right? Ilya Topora wanted to fight for the 155 championship belt. However, he wasn't going to fight the reigning champion because the reigning champion wanted to move up. So here comes Islam Makhachev moving up to 170, and they decided, you got to vacate the belt. Well, here's the 145 champ, Ilya Topora. You got to vacate the belt. And the guy that you beat convincingly in Volkanovski gets to come back and win it again. Like as if nothing ever happened, as if they needed to reset whatever it is that was going on before Ilya Topora. And now the third weight class that is affected by this is the 170 weight class. You got to think about this, right? Obviously, you guys know that just by the look of my beard, I'm an Islam Makhachev supporter. Okay, that is without a question, without a doubt. But you got to ask yourself, in fairness to the sport of MMA, what is it that Jack Della Maddalena is thinking in his head right now? He's thinking in his head, all of these people are looking down on me. All of these people are thinking that Islam Makhachev is going to beat me convincingly. All these people are thinking that I'm just the B side, yet I am the champion. That's going to affect his psyche going into this fight. But I tell you what, I don't think his psyche going into this fight with Islam Makhachev matters at all. You see, Islam Makhachev has been in big fights. He's been involved in some big fights, in particular, Conor McGregor and Khabib, which, by the way, interestingly enough, Dylan Dennis is looking to fight Islam Makhachev in the UFC because during the 2018 matchup that I had just mentioned right now, he claimed that Islam Makhachev punched him several times while security guards and police officers were breaking everybody up. Okay, so yeah, there's a storyline involved there, right? So he wants retribution, he wants to do something about it, and he may get his chance now that he has that 15-second win. Now, speaking of that Dylan Dennis win, a lot of people are looking at that win saying to themselves, well, you know what? You beat an 0-0 MMA fighter. Yes, a very formidable combat athlete in the fact that he was a kickboxer, he was an influencer boxer. So he has some kind of combat experience as to say, hey, you know what? Maybe, just maybe you deserve this. Okay? Maybe you deserve this. Maybe you deserve to fight Dylan Dennis because it's good for numbers, it's good for pay-per-views, it's good for promoting the fight, right? But then you also got to think, well, you know what? Does he deserve Islam Makhachev? And we're talking about Dylan Dennis. Does he deserve him? And the answer is quite frankly no. But you know what? That's not what it's about. It's about what is entertaining. Marty Miller says, "Yo, are you talking about Eddie Hall?" No. I'm talking about the opponent, the latest opponent of Dylan Dennis. But Eddie Hall, listen, bro, that fight is not realistic. That fight is not going to happen. Okay, because Eddie Hall is too big. And Dylan Dennis already said that I'm not going to fight you if you're not going to lose weight, down to at least 265, the limit of the heavyweight, right? I look at it like this, man. Listen, if I were Dylan Dennis, I would take that fight with Eddie Hall, forget everything else, because him going in there at 300 pounds is probably good for him due to the fact that Eddie Hall is going to be going in there massively slow, right? Doesn't have the speed to threaten Dylan Dennis at all, right? Dylan Dennis could run circles around him. Dylan Dennis could develop footwork. But yeah, that's who I'm talking about. Is I'm not Eddie Hall, but his opponent. But there is talks of him and Eddie Hall fighting, and I don't think that's necessarily what is going to happen. Okay, so the other news topic that is part of this, obviously, I said that Roger Jackson has not yet been arrested, right? Dennis's striking is abysmal, according to Marty Miller. I agree. It definitely is. But I tell you what, I'm very surprised that his game hasn't really evolved in the striking realm with all of this time training with Conor McGregor. And then at the same time, you got to think Conor McGregor's jiu-jitsu hasn't gotten any better training with Dylan Dennis. So it's like, what the heck are these guys doing training with each other in the first place? It's almost like these guys wasted a few years just training with each other for absolutely nothing. But on any regard, yeah, we're going to talk all about that in just a second. I'm going to get the camera ready right now, and then we're going to get this thing on and popping. This party started that we got going on here. So, all right, got everything going right here. So, yeah, man, how about Dylan Dennis trying to get signed to the UFC, right? Is that a viable option at this point? Well, we all know, and we all keep saying that, you know what? He's not deserving of it, but at the same time, he's a draw. And anything that is a draw in the UFC is deserving of anything. Okay, so let's keep that in mind.
Same time.
Okay, so give me about a few seconds here. I'm going to get right on camera. I'm just going to get the lights going. I'm going to open the window right here just for extra lighting. And then some extra lighting in the back. Here we go. Here we go, guys. All right, 15 minutes into the stream, and we are just about ready and started. Okay, so in the 16-minute mark of this stream, I will appear on right now. There we go. There you are. All right, so here we go. The Muslim MMA guru is here, guys. That's what I'm going to call myself, right? The Muslim MMA guru, since, you know, I get a lot of comparisons with MMA guru. I think that when you are an MMA streamer, you are going to be compared to MMA guru, regardless if you have a beard or not. But having a beard, obviously, I think helps that particular argument. Okay, so Marty Miller says, I don't think he deserves it off of skill, but it would sell. Yes. So that is the UFC in a nutshell, right? By the way, guys, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, because we're going to get this cracking right now. So the first news of the day, right? Dana White doesn't like double championships anymore. UFC fans right now are being robbed of the biggest fights as troubling trend sweeps the sport. Okay, and what exactly is sweeping the sport right now? Okay, so check this out. Former UFC light heavyweight contender Corey Anderson shared some key details about the promotion's matchmaking process and how a fighter's social media presence can significantly impact some of the biggest fights in MMA. Okay, so over time, Anderson, as he is called, wasn't the most popular fighter in the UFC, okay, during his heyday, but he made a good case to become one of John Jones's next title challengers at the time, if you remember, okay? During that time, he won 4 fights in a row from 2018 to 19. I'm talking about Corey Anderson, right? This was capped off with an upset knockout over Johnny Walker, who, by the way, was really hot at the time. And shout out to Johnny Walker, because obviously he did great in the Chinese card, right? The UFC Shanghai fight. He did very awesome in that. And yet here he is till this day, right? So, okay. After Corey Anderson got that win, okay, a case could have been made for Anderson to challenge John Jones's light heavyweight title back when he beat Corey Anderson. But as the ex-UFC contender revealed, the promotion had other plans, okay? And it kind of goes into what we're talking about right now with what Marty Miller just said right now, right, regarding Dylan Dennis. He says, I don't think he deserves it off of skill, but he definitely would sell if he was in the UFC. So I'm going to pin that comment right there because it's relevant to what we are talking about right now, okay? So what were those other plans that Corey Anderson had to reveal to everybody, okay? Corey Anderson did not have a big enough social media following to secure a UFC title shot, okay? And this is Corey Anderson telling MMAfighting.com this, right? He claimed that UFC executive Hunter Campbell reached out to him during his win streak. Okay, Hunter Campbell, before the Johnny Walker fight, he had a conversation with him and he told him, we can't give you the title fight, but you 100% deserve it. Now, can you imagine being told, we can't give you the fight, but you absolutely deserve it? We can't give it to you because your social media just isn't there. Hunter Campbell told him this. Can you imagine this, right? We all suspect this behind the scenes, but this is Corey Anderson telling you exactly what is going on, right? Like, you need to have a social media following in order to get a title shot. And Hunter Campbell said to him, it just wasn't there. So Corey Anderson says it's not about who's the best anymore. It's about who's going to put butts in seats. Okay. And the fans determine who the best fighter is based off of who has the biggest social media following. Okay. Satcha says, bro, I have a question about the Islam religion. Go ahead, my man. Mike says, who is fighting next? I haven't been able to keep up because of work. A shout out to you, my man. So, okay, we got Islam Makhachev and Jack Della Maddalena fighting in November. Okay, that's what we got going on. In October, you have UFC 320 and then UFC 321 in the same month. Okay, UFC 320 will be in Vegas, and then UFC 321 will be Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane for the heavyweight championship. And then in between that, we're going to have some fight nights. So, but yes, I hope that that answers your question. And the other person that had a question about Islamic religion, yeah, please shoot away. We are here to talk about that. Man, it's stacked. Yes. Are you talking about the UFC 322 card? It is. Yes. So they have Weili Zhang taking on Valentina Shevchenko on that one. And how about this? They have Leon Edwards taking on the hot prospect right now in Protest, Carlos Protest from the Fighting Nerds, right? So, okay, going back to what Corey Anderson said, right? It's not about the best fighting the best anymore, okay? So right around this time, the next challenger to John Jones was Anthony Smith, a relatively unheard of fighter. However, Smith was riding off a 3-fight win streak with 2 finishes over other veterans, and this was at the time when Anderson has has yet to have moved to the PFL, where he became Bellator light heavyweight champion and maintains a 6-1-1 promotional record. Okay, so is social media berating merit to punch where UFC matchmaking is concerned? Now, look, social media was still a budding concern in 2019, but the next 6 years later could be seeing the rise of social media fighters in the UFC. It's already common knowledge that the UFC is a promotion, not a sport or a league, so merit doesn't always get the fighters what they deserve. Okay. Mike says, I got a protest on that one. Sanchez says, why is alcohol haram, but you can drink camel piss? Well, personally, I don't drink camel piss. But if it's not haram to drink camel piss, it's probably because it doesn't have, intoxicant derivatives, right? It doesn't inhibit you in any kind of way. It doesn't alter your mind in the way that alcohol does. So I think that's probably the best way to answer why it's not haram. And then also understand this, right? I think part of the reason why I have great athleticism, even at my age of 40 years old, and even looking young for somebody who's 40 years old, is because of this. I think it's because I drank camel's milk when I was younger. I think drinking camel's milk had something to do with my anti-aging at 40 years old right now. I think it had a lot to do with that, right? Because there's a lot of Hollywood actors out there that literally go to the Middle East to try and import camel's milk over here for anti-aging derivatives. So that may explain it. I hope that answers your question, Sachin. Okay, so yeah, he said, Mike says that's going to be a good scrap. Yes. Demon says the UFC is dead. MMA is dead. Care to elaborate on that a little bit? Demon says camel piss, and so it must be her. Okay, well, Zahomi Zubs, shout out to you, my man. How are you, my man? One of my West Coast, allies in the house right now. Shout out to you, my man. Hope everything is good. And shout out to you and Dubs and Gunners Collective. The 2 guys that are always supporting me and giving me a shout out and constantly encouraging me. So shout out to him. Fairchild says, Roger Jackson, I'm not reading the rest of that. Okay, now listen. I'm going to be honest with you, Fairchilds. Look, I told you we allow freedom of speech here, right? And I don't think that particular comment is like I don't think that's against YouTube policy, so I'm going to allow it. But at the same time, I'm going to condemn it. Be fair, Childs. It's a bit racist for you to say that. Now, why would you need to say that? What would compel you to say that? Is it because you're angry at Roger Jackson? If so, you have every right to be angry at Roger Jackson, but also understand that by American law, he is yet to be convicted of anything. So anything that we talk about, oh, Raja did such and such, it's all going to be within the language of allegedly. Allegedly, he beat up speed bag Stu. Allegedly, he assaulted someone, or allegedly he attempted to unalive someone. That's the best way that we can go about it. Now, look, you are allowed to have your opinion on him, but I think your opinion is blatantly racist, unfortunately, and that's just the bottom line about it. Be fair, child. So I hope I hope I'm not going too hard on you on that one, but I think it's well deserved. Zahomi Zub says, Demon, you can keep your shirt on. The UFC isn't dead. Yes, it is. It is definitely not dead. Uh, Again, I would like Demon to emphasize that a little bit. What do you mean by dead? In what standards? Mr. Burberry, shout out to you. He says, Raja still hasn't been charged and won't eat them bananas. There you go. Sachin says, do you have the Quran? Can you read me 434? I will in a second, okay? Zahomi Zub says, I'm going to keep it real as an MMA fan. Yes, Raja did go overboard, but in all fairness, someone gave Raja the okay to get close to him and in person is a fault as well, and his name is Psycho Stu. Zubs, the homie. I'm gonna pin that comment right there. Okay, that deserves to be commented. Not that Stu was the person. Okay, so when you mean not that Stu was the person, him and that person is at fault. Okay, so obviously his homie AJ Mana, the guy who was also a wrestler that invited Raja there, he was the one that sort of gave the orders. Hey, listen, you want to get your get back, get your receipt in the ring. In the ring. Who gave him? Now, look, it's different in the WWE. During the time of Vince McMahon, everything was micromanaged, including everything that you said, right? In the WWE, everything is also micromanaged. All the referees wear an earpiece. Triple H is in the back. He's giving instructions. As he's giving instructions, the referee is communicating the instructions to the wrestlers that are fighting in that current moment of time of the card, right? But in independent wrestling, I don't know if that is the case. I don't know if it is the case where they have a free range of what they want to do, free creativity of what they want to show, or what kind of angle they want to take the storyline, right? So again, though, AJ Mana is just a wrestler, right? He's given orders like he was the boss of the room, and I don't know if that is, I don't know if that's the right thing to do. Mr. Burberry says, have you not seen the fights lined up for the UFC? Banger after banger after banger. Yeah, man, I think he's just, I think Demon is just maybe not satisfied with whatever matchup is going on or what is going to happen. But if you're a hardcore fan, I mean, you can't help but appreciate these fights, right? Zahomi Zub says, but the wrestler's name is Psycho Stu. Just wanted to clarify his name. Okay, well, I call him Speed Bag Stu because he looked like a speed bag when he was getting his head, punted in. But yeah, I mean, that is the name that he goes by, Psycho Stu, which I think is a tribute to the wrestler Psycho Sid. Okay, so Psycho Sid was the name, and Sid obviously was named after a British punk rocker. So there you go. Be Fairchild says, racism isn't real. You have never experienced real racism. The white man in America has done more good for you than you have for anyone. Okay, so I'm going to pin that comment. Even though I don't agree with that comment, Be Fairchilds, I'm going to pin your comment, okay? And I'm going to tell you why. Okay, let's emphasize on that comment right now. He says, racism isn't real. You have never experienced real racism. To what degree would I have not faced real racism, right? Maybe you're right. Maybe I experienced xenophobia, right? Antichrist says it's true. Okay, well, oh, Antichrist says, okay, but I'm going to call you Antichrist anyway. But um, do I do I deny that white people have made a lot of advancements all throughout history? Yes, but they are not the only people that have made advancements all throughout history. Also, this idea that you say that the white man has done more good for me, and I think I know what you mean by that. What you mean by that, be fair, childs, is that you are saying that me living in this country in the high standard that it is, somehow I reap the benefits of that, and it's true. But I'm here to tell you that also everything that I have, whether it's properties, house, cars, or whatever it is that I earn, is my own will and uh, my own hard work that got me there. Also, maybe some factors with the help of parents, family, this, that, and the other. That's also a reality as well. So uh, I mean, I don't agree completely with what you're saying, but I see what you're saying. Okay. Be Fairchild says just the best ones. Explain what that means. Do you mean that America only takes the best immigrants of the world in order to contribute to this economy? Let me know what you mean by that. Love Bug says, "How are you doing, my brother? I heard that Raja is out of the country and why the police have not taken any action despite the clear video evidence." So the reason for that, Love Bug, is because there's just a lot of murky waters right here, right? The police don't want to look stupid. Now think about this. They don't feel stupid raiding the Crips right now because let's be honest about this, right? They committed house robberies. Okay, it was in very affluent areas of LA that the Rolling 30s Crips were conducting these flocking operations. But at the same time, uh, they're doing it in rich neighborhoods, and that is definitely going to catch the attention of the authorities, right? Whenever you mess with the population that contributes the most to society, i.e., the middle class, i.e., the upper middle class, that is when the police are going to come after you. Okay, that is the reason why when you go to the hood, let's say if a random civilian decides to go call the police because they heard gunshots, right? How long will it take for the police to come to the hood as opposed to, let's say, the neighborhood, okay, the good neighborhood of all things? So, Be Fairchild says, no, we made the best advancements. Okay, well, that is your, that is your opinion on that particular matter. I'm not going to argue with you on that. Mr. Burberry says it's not real. Oh yeah, you're delusional, brother. Which one are you talking about? It's not real. Let me know what you mean by that. Psycho Stu is not pressing charges. Is that right? Okay. Efron Afrin says, nice beard. Thank you, brother. Thank you for the compliments of the beard. Of course, we try to keep it Suna in here. Patty, he says, that's why he's still out. Well, there you go. Shout out to Patty. Let me know what part of the world you are from, Patty. Let me know, Efron, what part of the world you are from. And Be Fairchild, I've seen you here before. You're very welcome here. I value your opinion and things that you say, even though I don't agree with it. And that is the beauty of America, is that we can come together in free speech and have a discourse in what it is that we are going to talk about. So Antichrist says, yeah, in America, you have the hood. In my country, they kill you for your skin color on your own land. Be real, bro. What country is that you are from, my man? Let me know. Lovebug says, it is not a matter of pressing charges, right? It is if some sort of crime committed. Maybe U.S. laws are different. Well, I tell you what, the reason why the cops are not doing this is because they don't want to be embarrassed, okay? It's a wrestling show. They're looking at this like, oh my goodness, are we really going to do something about a wrestling show? Do you guys remember when the NWO invaded WCW after Hulk Hogan betrayed WCW at Bash at the Beach in 1996? You guys remember that pay-per-view? The storyline goes as follows. Artist Mathiel says, what race are you, bro? I'm half Arabic and half Islander. So I hope that answers your question right there. Uh, Lon John says, Stu is pressing civil charges, but not legal charges. Okay, that makes more sense. That's why Roger Jackson is still walking a free man and will remain a free man. All right, I'm marking that comment right there. Okay, because that's very important right there. Okay, that is a very important comment right there that John said. Artist says, that's awesome. Thank you, my man. You're rare to see. Well, I tell you what, this is a completely rare channel as well. So I hope that you enjoy the content that I drop here and the things that I talk about and the things that I mention, and also just the sound of my sportscaster, newscaster voice that a lot of people say that I do, right? So like Marty Miller says, right? What did Marty Miller call me? He called me the race whisperer. Isn't that right, Marty? You called me the race whisperer. Now, why am I the race whisperer? He calls me that because I can relate to people in the black hoods. I can relate to people in the Mexican hoods. I can relate to people in the Asian and Islander hoods, right? So with white people, I obviously get along with a lot of white people because I have good articulation, right? I've lived in the suburbs of New Jersey, but I've also lived in the hood of California. So there you go, right? And and then I believe in freedom of speech. And white people, they are, they are so adamant in freedom of speech, right? Like, yeah, man, you got to have freedom of speech, dude. I got to be able to have the right to say F you and F everything and this and that. But you know how it is. John says, okay, yeah, we read that part. Uh, okay. That's a new comment by John. Okay, so he says, Stu proceeds with legal charges, then he'll never see anything in civil court. Rampage ain't the one who assaulted him. Raja has nothing and is a 25-year-old of age, so Rampage is not responsible. Correct. So I think Stu right now is very misguided into thinking that he's going to get Rampage Jackson UFC money. That's not the case here. It is not Raja, who was in the UFC. It is not Raja, who was in A-Team playing Mr. T. And it is not Raja, who has been in these championship fights from Pride FC to UFC to everything that, yeah. Smooth says, what's up, Mark Hunt? There you go. I like that, right? I like when people, call me, all these, random fighter names. Mark Hunt from the Dollar General. Yeah, I suppose, Devin, the guy who doesn't have a profile pic. But anyways, so he says, I remember that. What is the difference between Crips and Bloods? What benefits have they contributed to U.S. Society? You know what, Love Bug, that's a very good question, right? I'm going to answer that. There is no benefit that they gave to society other than to give home to many people that needed a home. Okay, look, I'm going to tell you this, guys. This is controversial to say. If you live in California and you're not in a gang, I think you're stupid, but I also think joining gangs at a certain age is dumb in and of itself. Okay, and only the real ones can understand what I mean by what I just said. Let me repeat it again. If you live in California and you're not in a gang, you're damn near stupid. Otherwise, go join the police force, because that's the only gang or only type of people that you will, ever, protect you from here, right? Because everything in California is gang related. Everything, right? Maybe not so much in a Bay Area, but they have their own gangs too. But when you're talking about living in Sacramento, Stockton, LA, Southern California, San Diego, you need to be in a gang if you live in a certain neighborhood, and that's just really what it is. Devin says low IQ. I know you're not talking to me about low IQ, brother. I'm a college graduate. On top of that, I've worked in several types of different jobs that you would not even believe I would be capable of working at. So let's not go there with that. Mr. Burberry says, if Raja needed money, Rampage would give it to him, no matter how old he is. Stu will get something out of this, besides all of the money donated to him from the hospital bills and recovery. You know what, Mr. Burberry? I think that's really all that he's going to get, right? That is all that he is going to get, because you can't get anything out of Raja, and that's just really what it is. Patty says Rampage bullied his son for most of his life. That's what led him to act out, almost deleted someone. Yes. Long Rod Dong says college graduate doesn't mean ish, laughing my ass off. Go back to gender studies, moron. So you see, this is what I mean, right? I think the Republican Party today, because of this anti-college thing that they have going on, has really dumbed down. I honestly think Trump is responsible for dumbing down the white race of America. I'm going to be honest with you about this, right? Whatever happened to the old school Republicans that emphasized going to college, emphasized country clubs, allowed people like Carlton Banks to be part of their institutions, right? So I don't know, man. I don't agree with you on that. And then, of course, you toss it up to like, oh, gender studies, you're a liberal because, you are espousing college or this, that, and the other. I mean, look, bro, let me tell you what college is good for, okay? What college is good for is building a resume and building a network. That's what it is. Chekon says, are you Malay by any chance? No, brother. I'm half Islander and half Arabic. Rodzilla says, from what I heard, the Jackson family paid $500,000 for Stu's family. Okay, man, obviously, if that's the case, they probably did it on the low. Wrestlers get injured in the ring all the time. They have waivers there, legal rights, and when they compete in the ring. So there you go. I'm going to mark that comment by Rodzilla. Okay, that's very important right there, okay? They sign waivers, and getting punched in the face, unfortunately, is part of that waiver. Did you guys not see? Oh, let me go back to the NWO thing, right? Do you remember when NWO invaded Monday Nitro the next day at Bash at the Beach? That one scene where Kevin Nash darts Rey Mysterio into the trailer, right? You guys remember that, right? The cops were called on the scene. And then when the cops showed up, they felt like the dumbest people ever, because it's like, well, this is a wrestling show, right? So there you go. And then obviously Floyd Mayweather has punched the Big Show on lot, but he agreed to it. But also, here's the kicker of it. Stu agreed to getting slammed and whatever happened after that. And this is the reason why these waters are getting kind of murky. So, Mr. Burberry says, Rodzilla, I'm not surprised. That's a drop in the bucket compared to Raja spending years in jail. Rampage still loves his son. Yeah, a settlement is the more likely case, but if he doesn't have to pay the settlement, then he doesn't have to. Marty Miller says that's a good point. Raja isn't a wrestler, and they told him he could hit Stu for real, so it's kind of on the promotion. There it is. Mark Haney says, Raja is still not arrested. I thought he was in custody already. I guess I read wrong. Yeah, Mark, the reason why, Mark believes that many people are out there saying that Raja should be arrested, this and that. There's a lot of emotional fallacies that are going on with Raja. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think there's a little bit of a racial element into why people hate on Raja. And I think that's very surprising, because I can tell you Raja, no matter how good of a fighter he is not the type of black guys that I've known in Stockton, in Newark, New Jersey, in the Bronx, in New York, in Jersey City, in LA, in the streets of Compton. He's not that kind of black guy. The guy is a vegan. The guy is literally a white liberal. Now, if you want to hate him for that because he's a white liberal, be my guest for all you, MAGA bro boys out there, right? You are welcome to do that. But let's call a spade a spade. He is not a black criminal in the way that people are making him out to be. I know real black criminals. I know real black gangsters, and Raja is not one of them. He may know people like that because gangsters love to hang out with fighters all the time, and fighters love to hang out with gangsters. And I think that kind of tells you a little bit of the trajectory that I've experienced in California, right? So uh, John says all the wrestlers that are supposedly Stu's friends were told not to talk, and they are not saying a word. WEF star Rikishi owns the joint. Yes, and Rikishi is Samoan. He is of Islander descent. Let me tell you guys something about Samoans in California, right? A strong, vast majority of Samoans in California are gang members. If they're not pro wrestlers or if they're not uh, football players or athletes, they are gang members. So, in other words, they have a gang mentality in the way that they approach things. So, everybody was saying, oh, they were telling everybody to not saying anything to the cops. Of course, they're going to tell them not to talk to the cops because they can't afford to lose a civil case if that is the case that is going on. But criminal wise, there was nothing criminal going on, and that is the reason why we haven't seen an arrest. I wish, you know what? Here's the thing, right? I wish the LAPD would come out with a press conference saying we cannot arrest Raja. But the thing is, they only come out in press conferences when they actually do arrest somebody. So Rikishi is from the WWE. He was the owner, and he was out of town during the Raja incident. Okay, that's true. He was not present. Yes. Marty Miller says, no pun intended. What is that that? What is that in reference to, Marty Miller? Mr. Burberry says, stop. Lovebug says, do you think you would fare well against Jake Paul in boxing? Maybe with 2 years of training. Money says they got Raja for his lack of emotional intelligence. I don't think it's that way that they think he's pulling into stereotypes in any kind of way. Okay, so yeah, so they're going at him for lack of emotional intelligence, but then you have somebody like MMA Guru who goes into this angle of calling him an animal, right? So it has a little bit of a racial undertone to it a little bit. John says Cowboy was Raja's friend who brought him there. Yes, AJ Mana, to be exact, the Cowboy that you are mentioning. And then gaslit him into beating Stu. The Cowboy apparently had some beef with Stu to begin with. Wow. Okay, I'm marking that comment right there, okay? Because I did hear that, and I wasn't sure if that was the case. But now that you said it, I don't know. I think that when there's smoke, there's fire. So I'm going to give everybody the benefit of the doubt that has said that AJ has beef with Stu. Okay, so if that's the case, yeah, man, AJ is a master manipulator at this if you think about it. He says, "Can you share us who's your favorite gang?" Love Bug asked me who's my favorite gang. Okay, so I'm going to show you a Facebook page, a Facebook picture of me back in the days. Okay. Let me see if I could pull up this picture. Okay, this is me with some Samoans back in 2007. Okay. So I hope that answers your question about what's your favorite gang. Rodzilla says Yokozuna, Rikishi, The Rock, Roman Reigns, the Usos are all family and they are all powerful in the wrestling business. Correct. Yes. You said let's call a spade a spade. Oh, okay. That's what you're laughing at. Okay, yes. Okay, that it does have a little bit of some racial undertones if you think about it. John says even Rampage claimed Raja sucker punched him a couple of years ago, and Rampage had to choke him out via guillotine. Raja is a bad person regardless of race. You know what, man? I don't know if I could just toss it up as him being a bad person, right? How about the fact that maybe his dad, somehow kind of, forced him into this. I don't know. Oh, Fight Night Frank, is Rockhold still asleep? Shout out to Fight Night Frank. Shout out to you, my man, all the way from England, man. I think this is the Fight Night Frank that I'm. Let me make sure this is the. No. Okay, that's a different. Okay, I thought you were Fight Night Frankie. Sorry. Worm says zero racial undertone to mention animal behavior. Yeah, usually when they say animal behavior or this, that, and the other, it's sort of leaning towards that direction. Majon says a receipt in wrestling world doesn't mean beat the heck out of the dude up. It means a couple of real punches probably could have been better explained to Raja. Mr. Burberry says Jean Rampage probably baited him to hit him like he has in the past. I can see that. Raja isn't a bad person because of that. SMH, he's only 25. He'll get it together. He is still figuring life out. For real. I think, man, listen, I've had a lot of crash outs when I was in my 20s. So I don't know if I'm necessarily the one to judge Raja in any kind of capacity, right? I'm not one to talk, but also Raja is in a different position where he sort of, how do I say this, right? Lives in the social media world, right? He lives in a social media world where everything is forefront and center, right in front of your face of everything that he does. So Majon says Evie blamed the cowboy as well, but he never said to what happened. Only wrestling fans gonna understand what a receipt is. Yes. Wait, are you in the Bay? I'm in the 510. No, I'm in Sacramento. That was in the Bay Area when we took that. That was all my Stockton homies. This picture right here that I was showing you right here. Straight Samoan Crips in this picture right here. But yeah, one of my homeboys in that picture, all the way to the right, he had died, a couple of years ago. So, rest in peace to the homie on that one. The one in the right side right there. That's me on the left with the long sleeve. I don't want to mention who that is in the middle because he probably doesn't want to be mentioned. Hence why, I had to darken that up. But yeah, that's PJ on the right. He has passed away. So, rest in peace to that homie. But yeah, Mr. Burberry says, let's talk about that Till knockout. Crazy and Dylan got the 15-second. Yeah, I did talk about that a lot more in the previous live stream. But yeah, we could talk about it on this one. Rodzilla says, I thought the punches didn't look too bad. It was definitely the single leg that knocked him out. Yeah, the slam, right? The slam that you're talking about. MS says, Rogers' actions are justified, but that dude did was still rude. What that dude did, what Stu did was rude is what he's saying. Worm, clearly in this case, it refers to the behavior and not his skin color, no race whatsoever, has a monopoly on animal behavior. Rodzilla says punches are bad. There's nothing stopping his brain from rattling around his head after being knocked out like that. Mr. Burberry says, I thought Darren Till was going to lose. El-Kheer got the bet and snaps a 6-year losing streak. Lovebug says, Raja hates fighting. He mentioned it before. The only reason why he did it is because he dropped out of college and Rampage encouraged him into Kick's deal for easy money. They get paid 25 to 50 weekly. Interesting. Okay. If Stu was awake, taking those with his hands up probably wouldn't be as bad, but he took it with his chin while asleep. Yeah, I could understand why that looks bad to a lot of people. John says, I even seen the clip of AJ telling Raja that he can really put it on Stu. By the way, that's the reason why AJ was fired from that organization. The one wrestler who broke it up and came forward claimed AJ and Stu had ongoing beef. Right. So there's a lot of motivational factors there to definitely look at. Rampage claimed Raja has not been the same since his mother was unalive. I can't find any info on how she was unalive, though. And Hebrew says, man, let it go already. He got the celebrity pass. It is what it is. You know what? Listen, I don't think it has anything to do with a celebrity pass, right? Because let's not forget, this is not Rampage that did this, right? I think that there's a lot of murky waters here. You're dealing with professional wrestling, you're dealing with storylines that are being involved in professional wrestling. So it puts the police at a very horrible standstill. And remember, I mentioned earlier about the NWO invading WCW's TV show Nitro the night after Hulk Hogan betrayed WCW at Bash at the Beach. And the cops got called after Rey Mysterio got darted by Kevin Nash into the trailer, only for the cops to show up there and say, okay, well, this is ridiculous that we showed up here. So maybe LAPD is saying that same thing. And remember, LAPD right now is working on raiding a bunch of Crips, right, from LA. So they're not even worried about Raja Jackson right now, which is the reason why I titled this entire live stream as part of that, talking about the raids that have been going on with the Crips, is because I'm trying to show you guys the priority of where LAPD is at in comparison to Raja Jackson. The ref should have stood him up, Jor. Oh, man, you got jokes, huh, Jor? Shout out to Jor, though. Let me know what part of the world you are from, my man. Rodzilla says, a lot of those wrestlers are bullies. A lot of cliques and gangs in wrestling, they are very insecure and juiced to the eyeballs. Mr. Burberry says that same wrestler called out Rampage for a boxing match. Are you talking about Doug Mallow? You know what? Let's take a look at Doug Mallow's page, right? Because I'm sure Doug has a few things to say about this particular matter at hand, right? Let's find Doug Mallow's YouTube page, because he does have a YouTube page. So let us check out what he's got going on in his YouTube page. Let's see here. So let us check out what he's got going on in his YouTube page. Okay. Mr. Burberry says guy wrestler that pulled Raja off of Stu is the one who called out Rampage. Okay. So he had a video about 5 days ago. Now it is up to 200 views. So this guy only had 2,000 subscribers prior to this, right? And then, yeah. Okay, so let's hear what he had to say on this video right here.
Well, hello, people. I wanted to make a video from a more coherent, thoughtful mind. I made the video the day after. Very upset. Wasn't coping very well. A lot of pain in my soul. I still feel pretty broken up over everything. And now I'm just trying to process not just the event, but everything in totality, right? Like I got people messaging me all kinds of nonsense. I know what I said. Oh, I'd fight Rampage if I got Stu's medical bills and paid for it, and I would. I'd get my ass fucking handed to me. But I would. Wouldn't be the greatest thing for my health either. Let's be real. Just so many things. The fact that people are sending death threats to lots of parties involved and getting threats of violence, all kinds of stuff. But it's not okay to send death threats over to Rampage either.
I'm going to say this, guys. I think Rampage is a bad father, but I'm telling you right now, I will never allow anybody outside of California to threaten Rampage like that. Okay, now, if you want to go after Bear, I'm not going to fight you for that. Just saying.
Or even Raja. Like, just in perspective, he's 25 years old. He did a terrible thing. But I wasn't the greatest 20-something-year-old. I've done a lot of stupid things. Not to that extent, but like that's a volatile age, and for somebody to be gassed up and hyped up not only by streamers but by somebody that's a friend. And yes, I'm so mad that worker. I don't even want to give the guy any more praise. I don't want to mention his name. He's an idiot. But you brought this 25-year-old to an event, and then you're
Now, before he goes on, I want to preface this, right? I think that it is absolutely beautiful on his part to show a certain sense of empathy towards Raja. He mentioned he's 25 years old. He's still trying to get his life together. Yeah, man, I think that was really classy of him to sort of bring that up.
getting him backstage.
Rodzilla says, I thought it was a work at first, but it's definitely real. Hopefully, Stu recovers for sure.
You're walking him up to people. The beer can thing happens, which I don't agree with. Stu apologizes, asks if you're going to sell it. That's when you knew he really sincerely thought it was a work. He asked, are you going to sell it?
Love says, do you think Wing C will be top 10 145 at the UFC? Wing C? Who is Wing C? Let me yeah, please emphasize to me who that is. I'm not sure exactly who that person is you are talking about. Let me know, my man.
They have to be upset too. You don't know the situation. He's not explaining it. Goddamn, well, there it is. He doesn't explain anything. He's sitting there just instead of trying to find a way to calm Roger down. You know, he's not a worker. He's not this. He's not that. And they're walking away. Like you have a moment to be a good mentor and a friend to somebody. And if you know he had a concussion, you know his mind's not in the right place. The last thing you need to do.
Okay, so he's DJ's partner and student. Okay, I'm gonna have to look them up. Wing C fights for street beefs, training under a death sentence, and the goat Mighty Mouse. Okay, yeah. I haven't really kept up much with street beefs, but I will check that out.
Do is up the energy and intensity of what he's feeling inside. He's got to be boiling. You know? So, like.
No, this was done 5 days ago where he had publicly addressed what was going on once he had the chance to do so.
That to me in itself is crazy. As an older person, you know, as a mentor, if you're a friend, your job is to not lead them into getting themselves in trouble. Your job is to protect them from getting in trouble. You know, just why I'm so broken up because of the kids at the event. The messages I receive from parents, you know, even here, the little girl that we have the wrestling group with, our jobs are to protect them from seeing these things, and we're supposed to protect them from making bad choices or making the same mistakes we made. You know, that's your job as an adult. So I'm reflecting on the whole situation, and I think it's the anger is still out there. I'm still very angry, still upset. Can't really watch the video. I see it everywhere. It hurts.
Is he really making a debut against Yair Rodriguez? Let me know on that one. It's kind of a big joke with the Street Beefs death sentence series. Wing C wouldn't even be a journeyman in the UFC. Insane fight. Okay, good to know.
All right, but anything I want to raise more money for Stu. He's recovering. He's made some jokes. He still has no recollection of the event.
Keep in mind, this is in context of 5 days ago.
I really want to find a silver lining in all of this, and I think it's completely like I think what's happening is this over sensationalized push of one side being bad and one side being good.
I'm glad that he's mentioning this, right? This is a very important thing to emphasize, that there is this aspect of emphasizing, one person is bad, the other person is good, and he's sort of really given, yeah, you know, um, sort of given, the realness to what's going on here. Lovebug says Wing C won't be a journeyman, probably a gatekeeper like Dan Hooker. Okay, man, you got me interested in who this Wing C guy is. Rodzilla says there is no silver lining in this situation.
Oh, and yeah, someone did an atrocious act, but let's try to level out how we got there. I know that's not the outcome anyone should ever do, but there was a lot of moving pieces that got involved in that, and I think taking a step back and looking at that.
John says, I was looking into it, and the cops only get involved in pro wrestling matters only if the actual organization asks them to get involved. Correct. Like, for example, when I think not even when fans attack wrestlers, right? They don't even do that. Or maybe if they're doing a storyline, like let's say Goldberg, right? One of the entrances that they would do is they would have police officers escort them out to the ring, and that's the extent of it. Similar to Triple H, I believe there was a WrestleMania somewhere in Florida, and I believe Triple H entered the arena with some police officers on their bikes, right? Like some bike patrol police officers, if you guys remember. So, yeah, those are the only times they get involved in. And sometimes the cops aren't even real. They're just wrestlers like this guy from the indie scenes that they brought in to sort of dress up as wrestlers. Or, I'm sorry, wrestlers dressed up as cops. Lovebug says, a lot of people doubt Patty and said he won't last in the UFC. Wing C have more potential with his stand-up. Okay, so we got to look at who this Wing C guy is, right? All right, you guys have seen this before. You've probably seen the rest of this. You could check that out. Let's take a look at who this Wing C guy is. Hopefully, it is allowed to show some of his fights, but okay, undefeated, all finishes. Wow, okay. BFL. Wing C versus Servant of God. Okay, let's see what this is right here.
I'm 1C, 140. I was just at a furry rave last night, so honestly I'm tired as hell. But it's for the main character lore. So I'm gonna dance to this drummer.
What a dork! Who is this dork?
Welcome back, all you crazy people, to Speed Dragon, the Dragon Force, aka the Servant of God, and we're back with more Street Beats, baby. Guys, my name is Kevin Santiago.
Oh, hold up! I thought the Servant of God was the one who was in the angel suit. But all right, Fresh Melon Juice says haram. Yeah, very much haram. Put on Wing C versus God of War. Is this the one? No, this is Servant of God though. Wing. Oh, okay, Servant of God. Okay, yeah, okay.
5'9", 155 pounds. Follow me on Dragon Wolf Archives, baby. Let's get it. Shout out to Street Beats, baby. Let's go. We here, baby.
Okay, I can't show too much of that video because obviously I don't want to get copyright struck. I just wanted to kind of show that briefly right there, and yeah. So let's see here. Yeah, okay, Wing C. Yeah, he looks like he's got some talent, man. Looks like he's got some talent. Yeah, looks like he's got some talent. Okay, I see what you're talking about now. Says put on. No. We're not gonna put that on, but I will watch it though. I will watch it. I will watch it. I just don't want to. What do you call it? Yeah, I just don't want to. I just don't want to catch any, copyright strikes, or anything like that. So yeah, I'm trying to, avoid that right there. But all right, man. So all right. So obviously, Roger Jackson is not yet been arrested, right? And I want to emphasize this right now, right? The reason why he hasn't been arrested is because the LAPD has better things to do. So with that in mind, let's take a look at exactly what it is that that the LAPD is doing right now in terms of the raids that they've been doing with the Crips down in LA, right? So let's see here. Wow. Okay. Tacoma gang members. Let's see here. Lon John says, I don't want you to put on any of the stuff. I'm tired of Wing C's death sentence nonsense. So is Fire Chicken, who puts on the West Coast shows. Okay. Let's see. Okay, here we go. War in Cali. All right, here we go. Who? Okay, so this is the one I was talking about right here. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys why the LAPD is not messing with Roger Jackson right now. Okay, and the reason why they are not messing with Roger Jackson at the current moment of time is because they are too busy doing this right here. Okay, this is the Rich Roland burglary crew. Okay, so let's check this out right here, just so you guys can understand why Raja has not been raided.
Responsible for 92 residential burglaries in the city of Los Angeles. Welcome back to another episode of War in Cali. Now you see by this title, LA has been on fire with a lot of arrests and indictments coming down. And some of the Rolling 30 Crips and the 5-5 neighborhood Crips are a part of this new one. At least 10 people have been charged in what Los Angeles officials have described as a crime.
So you imagine this, they're raiding the Crips, but not Roger Jackson. Okay, and okay, one had a murder charge attached to it, but the other one is basically burglaries and gun running, right? Not the biggest, case ever, but yeah.
Iran acted on a string of residential robberies across the city. Officers conducted what LAPD chief described as a major operation by executing search warrants and targeting the burglary suspects. The suspects taken into custody did have gang ties, some being from the Rolling 30 Crips and some being from the 5-5 neighborhood Crips. Both of these gangs are separate gangs, but are close allies, and these gang members from these different hoods came together to commit these crimes.
By the way, if you guys know anything about Crip Mac, he is from this neighborhood, the 55th Street guys in LA. So yeah, he is part of that neighborhood. For those that were wondering.
The burglary crew, the target to this operation, were members of what was called the Rich Roland burglary crew. They were allegedly responsible for over 92 residential burglaries in the city of Los Angeles. Investigators believe the break-in started as early as 2022 and has spanned to cities like West LA, Pacific Hollywood, Wilshire, North Hollywood, West Valley, Foothill, and Topanga, among others. By the numbers, burglaries associated with this particular crew since 2022 had Hollywood with 3 robberies, Wilshire with 65, Pacific with 25, West LA with 43, North Hollywood with 3, West Valley had 2, Foothill had 3, Devonshire had 3, and Topanga had 1, among others. A breakthrough in a case occurred in February of this year, where officers chased 3 suspects in a vehicle that officers recognized as being used in 2 burglaries. Those 3 people were arrested on February 12th. and officers gained information that led to more potential suspects. While executing warrants, officers found tools to conduct burglaries, several firearms, some of which were reported stolen, and large amounts of ammunition. Other stolen items were found, such as jewelry, luxury handbags, and credit cards. The arrested suspects range in age from 22 to 47.
He said, Crip Mac looking like Corey from That's So Raven. Fresh Melon Juice says, gang shit, you heard? Yup. On cuz, Fresh Melon Juice.
According to police, 7 of them were booked on charges including burglary and possession of a controlled substance while armed. Police said while one suspect surrendered in response to an active warrant, 2 further suspects who were already in custody on an unrelated attempted murder charge were also charged in connection to the burglaries. Police said they ready.
By the way, some of the guys that were involved in this range from ages of 20 to 47. Okay, now look, I'm not one to judge anybody to do what it is that they do, but man, listen, at a certain age, homie, you got to know when to pack it up, right? But yeah, on any regard. By the way, guys, bonus stream, I'm going to be doing a live training session in a little bit. So, yeah, I'm going to do some 25-minute rounds of MMA with you guys. So yeah, some little exclusive training session. We're about to get it on right here.
The crew early on the morning of August 20th and executed search warrants at 8 locations where they recovered an arsenal of weapons and stolen goods. That included 15 firearms, high-capacity magazines, body armor, and 50-round handgun drum magazine.
We're going to do mostly striking and ground and pound. So yeah, that's what I'm going to, work on for a little bit of bonus stream here. So.
Crew accused of nearly 100 break-ins across the city taken down.
Yeah, they call themselves the Rich Rollin Burglary Crew.
It's a major win for our city. Los Angeles is...
John, mostly striking. You'll see it. I'm just going to, hit the bag in my mats in my garage and, go for about, 25 minutes, 5 rounds.
City leaders announcing arrests Monday in a burglary bust after an operation last Wednesday. At least 8 people are facing charges in connection with what officials call the Rich Rollin Burglary Crew, suspected of 92 break-ins across the city. 2 people facing attempted murder charges were already in custody before that operation last week.
10 suspects, all adult career criminals with prior arrests for violent and property crimes.
This map here shows where officials say the break-ins happened, going back to 2022, from West Los Angeles, Wilshire, North Hollywood, to West Valley and Topanga. Chief Jim McDonald says the break in the case happened back in February when 3 people allegedly involved were arrested after a pursuit and that officers recognized a van that was being used in 2 burglaries. McDonald says multiple handguns, purses, jewelry, high-end watches, and stolen credit cards were recovered during a search back in April.
These are not crimes of need. These are crimes of greed.
Attorney Nathan Hochman says an additional 45 cases are under investigation.
He says, I only have a Bob XL where I'm at. Will that work? Okay. Would also got gloves. Will that work? A Bob XL. Yeah, I suppose, right? I don't know what kind of gloves those are you're referring to, but yeah, let me know.
Investigation.
Some of the alleged suspects were 37-year-old Devon Collier, 47-year-old Tyrone Tisby, 38-year-old Frank Tisby, 38-year-old Jeremy Shepard, 22-year-old Jermaine, 20-year-old Michael Lewis, and Markel Lewis, who was 26, all who were in custody on August 20th after the sting operation. They were booked on multiple charges, including burglary and possession of a controlled substance while armed. 40-year-old Eric Cannon surrendered in response to an active warrant on August 22nd. And 2 suspects, 36-year-old Anthony Leslie and Sean Quinney, who was also 36, were both already in custody on unrelated charges. Leslie and Quinney are both facing attempted murder charges. LA police chief will say, these arrests send a clear message. If you prey on our neighborhoods, we will find you and hold you accountable. What made this takedown possible was the outstanding work of our officers and detectives communicating across divisions and sharing intelligence and connecting the dots that revealed the...
So in other words, these guys are not worried about Roger Jackson. That is the point that I'm trying to emphasize here, is that they are not worried about Roger Jackson. Just got MMA gloves. Oh, okay, yeah. Training MMA gloves is good, obviously, because you know, if you are doing MMA. But even if you're training MMA, it's also good to do it with bigger boxing gloves as well, just to protect your hands. But yeah, this is the emphasis that I'm trying to make, guys. The LAPD is not worried about Roger Jackson. They are worried about gang members in their city and maybe even terrorist cells lurking somewhere.
Burglary crews were tied together. With this operation just happening, there's still a lot of developing info on this situation. But with the current situation in the streets, more gangs should be worried about this.
So all these LAPD officers, they are not worried about Roger Jackson. I repeat, they are not worried about Roger Jackson just getting up and moving around. Okay, Mr. Burberry says.
Need. These are crimes of greed. I want the burglars and the robbers to know that if we don't get you that day, we're going to get you. In South LA.
You know what? That's a good point that detective just made, right? Now, look, man, I'm not a prude for people that commit crimes, right? If you got to commit a crime and do what you got to do, listen, man, I'm going to live my life, do what I do. You know, I'm going to go make this legal money. I'm going to go, you know, live legit. But at the same time, I don't down people who do what they need to do. And with that in mind, when they said that it is a crime of greed, you know what? I don't know how true that is versus actually a crime of necessity. And, you know, to each its own what that means. Fresh Melon Juice says, put on Muay Thai shorts, training with Kyrie soon. Okay.
We do not rest until we find those who are responsible.
This will conclude this episode. If you haven't already, check out my previous episodes. Don't forget.
All right, guys. So if you want more of content similar to this, check out War on Cali because, yeah, they do a lot of good. They do a lot of good content when it comes to, you know, gang stuff, California stuff, and everything in between. All right. So before I set up everything for the live training session that I am going to do right now, just bear with me for just a little bit while I set everything up. And we're going to talk about why I decided to play that video for you guys. Lon John says, we get it, dude, 100%. Yeah, so once again, let me emphasize once again, the LAPD is not worried about Roger Jackson, okay? I'm showing you guys what is going on around LA, right? Because everybody thinks, look, MMA fans, maybe even wrestling fans, have a main character syndrome, okay? They think that whatever is going on in their world is significant to everybody else. So in other words, they see Roger Jackson beat up this poor pro wrestler, right? Oh, poor him. You know, he got hit and this, that, and the other, right? Something needs to be done. I understand there's a certain level of injustice that you feel as a result of what had happened. Okay, fair enough. Marty Miller says, this will be for all you haters. Yes, 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 y'all. Yes, for sure. Okay, so let me emphasize this. You MMA fans have a main character syndrome. You think that because this crime or supposed crime that you think is happening, that somehow that the LAPD is going to do something about it, right? You guys live in this world of good guys versus bad guys, and I cannot really blame you for that. I can't blame you for having, you know, that type of mentality where you believe that everything that, you know, falls in this, you know, villain versus hero type of complex. That's not how the world works. In the real world, in American law, what you have is a concept of due process. Okay, that is real. When we're talking about due process, these things are real. And what do I mean by due process? Well, the cops have to look at it. They have to emphasize, was there a threat going on here? What is the context? The context is that it was involved in a pro wrestling setting. So therefore, I don't know if we can really do anything about that. And that is just, unfortunately, the way that they are looking at it, right? So you guys have to really understand this. If you don't understand this, write one on the, actually, no, if you understand this, write one on the comment section below. If you don't understand it, write 2 on the comment section below. In the meantime, let me set up everything here. I'm going to play an audio regarding Rampage being a bad father. Now, look, I am on the side of Raja on this one, and I don't care how people are going to perceive that or how people are going to feel about that. At the same time, I think that Rampage is a bad father. I'm going to give you the audio version of this video real quick while I get things ready. So stay tuned, strap in, because we're going to have some championship round training right now. 5 minutes, 5 rounds, and let's get it cracking. Particular subject right now, because it is the hottest. One of the worst things you can do as a parent is to scold your children in front of everybody. And Rampage Jackson did exactly that with Roger Jackson, that led to this incident with Psycho Stu not too long ago, a couple of days ago, okay? And this is sort of the one missing piece that a lot of people don't want to take into consideration, and for several reasons why that is. Obviously, many of us believe in a thing called accountability. I understand that. However, at some point, there has to be put some kind of blame towards Rampage Jackson in the way that he raised his kid. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't like to admit that. They don't like to admit that Rampage has something to do with any of this. I was watching Lucas Tracy MMA the other day on his take on this particular matter. By the way, shout out to everybody around the world that is getting their money on this particular subject right now, because it is the hottest topic in wrestling, in MMA, and even in the world of urban and military vet world as well, right? Everybody is all up in this particular subject, and I love it. I love it because there's so much variations to go off of in this particular subject, right? There's the aspect of sociology. There is the aspect of how to raise kids. There's the aspect of psychology, and then there's the aspect of trying to figure out what it means to be a PTSD-ridden vet on top of being an MMA fighter, suffering too much damage maybe really early on in your career, right? So all of these things are correlated, and everybody has talked about it in one form or another regarding the subject of Roger Jackson. However, you people have to understand one thing, right? You cannot excuse Rampage for everything. There are some things that you can excuse him for. For example, he's not the one who slammed this guy in the way that he slammed Arona in a sanctioned match in England. For one. Okay, another thing you gotta understand is that it affects the mental health, affects how towards other people, how they treat other people. And I don't think people want to take this into consideration at all. And unfortunately, what they want to do is look at Rampage as the innocent party in this particular instance. And I don't think that it's that simplistic of this whole entire thing, because how do you raise your kids right? And I'm not saying that Rampage is a bad parent overall, but let's analyze a couple of things about why Rampage is a bad parent. Number one, he brings his kids around a whole bunch of different women, right? Which, by the way, is highly inappropriate in my opinion, because you are of a certain age, your son is of this age, and you guys are trying to hang out with each other like you two are homies, right? I don't think that flies. I don't think that's normal, but I can understand why that's normal in certain instances, in particular in a hood culture, right? Which, by the way, a world that I'm not necessarily a prude for, but at the same time, there are some certain criticisms that I may have about certain cultural practices regarding that. But another thing you got to understand about Rampage is that Rampage is a very arrogant man. Okay, he's a very arrogant man. A lot of these guys who are former MMA legends are very much arrogant. Michael Bisping is sort of in that same category as well. You see the way that he disses Callum in front of the world. Now, look, I understand. Okay, in the British culture, there's this thing called banter, right? And I get that. I also understand that sort of element of banter was also in this element as well with the wrestling show with Psycho Stu sort of hitting a fake beer can over the head of Raja. That's banter as well. But then also you got to understand, banter to someone could mean verbal abuse to somebody else or some kind of physical abuse or some kind of insult. And I think cultural practices may differ in that particular instance. And we have to be very considerate of that. Okay, so the way that Rampage talks to his son, the way that Callum Bisping gets talked to by Michael Bisping, it's all one and the same, right? However, at the same time, you don't see Callum Bisping going out there wilding out and beating people up in a wrestling ring for no apparent reason or no provocation. At the same time, there's not a lot of people that provoke Callum Bisping, right? He's a big dude. Unlike Raja, he's a 155er, which is sort of crazy if you really think about it, right? Rampage was a 205er. Raja is a 155er, very similar to Randy Couture's son, Ryan, as well. I believe he fought as low as 145, but that's neither here or there, right? The point of the matter is, Rampage. All right, guys, here we go. Let's see, Killishaw Kyrie. All right, lots of respect for Rampage after watching his lives. I could see that. What do you mean, you people? Oh my God, fresh melon juice. Chill with that. John says, what you have in this case is a victim who is not going forward and pressing charges. Therefore, there are no charges. He is seeking civil damages, and they will sign a waiver closing that chapter. Okay. John says, it's only out of necessity if you are a drug addict. Even a junkie must have a code. You don't steal people's family heirlooms and things of that nature. Okay. So Arona simply needed to let go of the triangle. Yeah, Clyde says, bro, there is no real case. It was a fake altercation. Well, hey, listen, that is your belief on that particular matter. But I tell you what, let's do 25 rounds of this one right here. Let me put the timer on right quick. Let me get the timer going here. Hey, let me know on the chat below, right? Is classical music copyrighted? Right? So Empty says, Lon John, didn't the Samoan dude invite him? So much misinformation around this topic. I think most creators are setting up everyone to be as mad as long as possible. Yeah, my family doesn't have any heirlooms, Marty Miller says. Empty says, what up, Kyrie? Blessings to you and your family. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. All right, let's get this going right here. Let me see if I can play a little bit of some.
Hey, Cobra Kai fan.
See if I can play some non-copyright music here.
At Wells Fargo, we get it. Ella started her business because she loves facades. Atriums. Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
Fuck it. Forget the copyright songs. We're just gonna go at this. Okay, so let's see. Let's see you sprint. Let's see the sprint cross. TJ taught you. Hurry up and what up? Okay, it's fake. The names are even all fake, but Raja's. Well, you know what? It is fake because the names are fake because they're pro wrestlers. So there you go. He says nice neighborhood. Well, thanks. Kind of I guess little better step up into Stockton, right? All right, so here we go. Round. Sorry, I didn't read that one. He says, let's see your TJ Cross, nice neighborhood. It's fake. Names are all fake, but Raja's, exactly. It was a pro wrestling match. It's fake, bro. So, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe that has something to do with why the police didn't want anything to do with it. All right, I'm going to put the mic down and I'm going to keep the rounds going right now. So here we go, round number 1. But let me stretch first. I'm 40 years old, so I have to stretch. So it doesn't look like it, but yeah. All right, here we go. Round 1. Round 1. Yes, correct. 170, yes. All right. That's round one. We're going to round two. Okay. It was a bootleg. Wade Master, sure. You said yourself the police don't want anything to do with it. Yes, correct. Exactly. It was a pro wrestling match. His class is the class whisperer. Really, he looks like a big boy. I wonder how much weight he uses to have to drop weight. Yeah, I think he's 6 feet. Yeah, that's correct. All right, round two. Here we go. All right. Okay, shout out to John. Yeah, when it's Shudo boxing style, he used to work as a car. What type of takedowns are you trying to shoot? Daddy Nord says he made the crack in Favor's chin in a sparring session. All right, round 3. We're going into round number 3 right now. Let's see. Okay, all right. Round number 3, guys. He says, Pantoja is greater than John Jones. Marty Miller says, KO, are you doing this for mainly aerobic? No, anaerobic, brother. Judging by the height of the bag, I'd say Kyrie is training to fight Pantoja. Well, the bag fluctuates its size. You know what I'm saying? Just so I could lower it down for a little bit of some leg kicks and takedowns as well. Nobody needs to show him how to cut corners when shooting the takedowns. I'm lost every time he grapples with a Wave Master. Love Bug says, bro, you should practice in street beef 1K. Okay. John says, you suck at grappling, Kyrie. I don't really care what, he thinks. John, listen, bro, you can't expect me to take somebody seriously who doesn't even have a profile name. But at the same time, listen, I'm all good with constructive criticism. I'm all good with it. By the end of the day, me doing this video, I get paid regardless if I do it right or not. So, but thank you. I'm going to take that as a constructive criticism. Right, cut off corners rather than, shooting in straight. Gotcha. Got it. Okay, round number 4. Here we go. Last round. Yeah. Okay. I have been in this stream. Afternoon says, I have been in this stream. This is the first time I've seen him spar, but I'm confident anybody with Taekwondo background is not beating a strong wrestler. You never keep you. What the F? You never keep your chin up. Yeah. Keep the constructive criticism coming. He really loves it. Yo, dude is awesome. Shout out to you. Fresh Melon Juice says, keep your chin up. Keep your hands up. Listen, when you are fighting in a distance like this, for example, I'm far from the target like this, you can put your hands down. But notice, the closer I get, right? I get right in there like that. You don't have to put your hands up all the time. In fact, the reason why I get my hands down is to try to get a counterattack going. So, final round. Yeah, slick with the strikes. Shout out to you. Lon says, Marty, nah. He's just making some simple mistakes any wrestler could pick up on. We can all improve. For sure. Shout out to you on that. I am 46 and need a sparring partner. I've wrestled and coached for 30 years. Okay, shout out to you. There you go. Gable grip makes a world of a difference with a clinch. Great. Awesome. Lon John says, cutting corners is usually not good advice, but in this particular setting, it is. Championship rounds. Round number 5. Last round. Live streaming. Far up. Far up. Okay, go watch. Go watch. Huh? Upstairs in the room. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. All right. 2PF says, "What's up? You keep dancing around your opponent is pointing Max." Okay, sure. Yeah. Pork Chop says, "Quick, strong hits though. Have you seen Bassarutin's wrist techniques to not break your hands and palm strikes?" Yes, most people keep their hands low, is able to stuff the takedowns. That's also true. Yes. Salam, he says, "Walaikum salam." Pork Chop says, "If you kicked someone like that with steel toes, would be deadly." Yes, yes. Long says, "Good job, man. Your takedowns got better." Good. Yeah, yeah. I mean, hey, listen, just listening to your advice on that one, right? Sort of cut the corners rather than like, trying to shoot in straight. Yeah, man, I hear what you're saying. Where are you from? I am from sunny Sacramento, California right now. Got my own in my house. So, yeah, man, beautiful palm trees out here in this side of the world. Check this out right here. You should try to fight in street beefs, Kyrie. Inshallah, brother. Inshallah, check this out right here. Some little palm trees right here and all of that. So, okay, guys. All right, him versus street beefs. Bam, bam. Okay, Irishman NJ. Will Raja be arrested? Irishman NJ. No, he will not. We did talk about that in the beginning of the stream. No, he will not be arrested, right? Especially if you could win 100K. Wow, okay. MashaAllah, I like your beard. Thank you, brother. I wish I lived in California to do street beefs. Oh, is that right? Is that where street beefs take place? I did not know that. I did not know that it takes place out here in California. But okay, it makes sense. I thought it would either be Miami or maybe New York. But yeah, okay, that makes sense. Rampage said Raja will never stream again. You know what? That was Kick, right? So being that was Kick, maybe he could do YouTube, or maybe what else are other live streaming platforms out there? Uh, John says, if you want to fight in street beefs, I know the organizer and can set you up, but nobody fights for money. Yeah, man. I don't know if I want to do all that. I kind of like being a 40-year-old streamer, just talking smack about everybody else in the fight game, and and just doing my own thing. So, man, if it's no money in it, I don't know. But yeah, they do it in they do anything in Maine. Okay. Uh, let's see here. Can you fight street beefs if you're a pro fighter? Uh, that's a good question. I think you can. I think you can. I mean, what they do in street beefs is, I think, considered professional anyway. So, I think, yeah, you can. It would be good for your channel, though, Kyrie. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Leo, remember me? Yes, my man. How are you, man? My man. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. Hope you're doing well. Yes, I remember you very well. Hope you can, come in here and, and behave yourself. Kardik says, man, don't you think the UFC should put at least a barrier if a person wants to move above the weight class? The guy must have defended 3 to 4 times. What's the point of moving up if you didn't clear the division? Money, my man. That's really what it is, right? Oh, okay. Zengri Fresh says, "Can you tell my sister happy birthday?" Oh my goodness, man, you're trying to set me up with saying the N word. Okay. Marty Miller says, "Did you watch see?" No, I didn't, but I heard Chael got tapped. Can you show me your MMA shorts? Well, I was just training earlier, so those are MMA shorts, just all black and whatnot. Pork Chop says, "Do you think the UFC should get rid of the weight limit at 265? More freak show fights?" Yeah, you know what? I think the reason why they have limits in heavyweight is because grappling is an aspect that determines a lot of the weight. So Marius Pujanowski, do you like his fights? Oh yeah, man. Yeah, I'm always interested to see a guy like that fight.